Welcome in. I'm Janelle. This is Janelle Art. Well, sometimes things just won't be smooth. I suppose there's nothing to be done for it, but take your best shot. Hello, Ernest. It's good to see you. How you doing? Oh, it's been a bit of a day. But I have found that spending a little bit of time doing this and opening the chat up to people who want to come in and talk about art or Alaska or whatever it is you guys bring in, it's always just almost always it's quite uplifting. So I've managed to stay kind of just around the old homestead and had some neighbors having some sort of an argument on my they were kind of on the end of my driveway and they may or may not have a contract that works in lieu of a restraining order that's supposed to keep them the hell away from me. So I had to go tell them where F-off Bill was and direct them to go there. Yep, and then I came to YouTube. Well, I checked my email and realized that somebody had held themselves out as wanting to make friends with me. Were really just trying to set me up to talk about stuff that they would later use to cause a hassle. And these are not the people that I have been hanging with recently. These are the people I used to hang with, and I got sucked back into it a little bit. Okay, a lot of bit. Um, I was. I think it's just. You ever try to leave something and go do something else, and you get kind of tied into the thing that you were doing in ways that you may not have even known or expected or understood, and you can think that you're heading towards, yeah, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go do that new job, or I'm going to change that relationship around, or, stop wearing that flannel shirt. I don't know what it is. Thank you. Yeah, next thing you know, you're down and you've got that flannel shirt on. It's got the big, the hole in the elbow that's so big it kind of cuts in, and its sleeves a little too short, and always untucks in the back when you bend down to pick something up. And you just go, why am I wearing this shirt again? This is, this doesn't fit me. So we'll see if I can get my head back in a better place. Yeah, they really can be, can't they? So how was your weekend? The first weekend of the year. How'd that go? Ernest says I know exactly what you're saying, but I was able to get a whole new wardrobe, and now I am doing better. It's funny. It's hard to imagine the the possibility of a new wardrobe when you're still attached to the old flannel. But you're right. I mean, I've had a lot of transitions in life, and once you get there, things do tend to open up, and it gets brighter. Speaking of open up, there's this whole area here that it might not get. Just not sure what to do with it at the moment. often is, Ernest. Often, yeah. Kind of depends, you know. You may have noticed that these videos pop up at kind of random times, and so it's a little. I think it's with a lot of people, it's kind of hit or miss, which is okay because I found I tried being on a schedule when I first started, and there were some trouble that came of that when certain folks knew when to come and cause trouble. And anyway, so I just tend to do them kind of. Well, I always shoot for kind of around Tuesday. So we're late Monday. We'll head probably, I don't know how long it'll go. We might wander over into Tuesday. And, I don't know, it's kind of the beauty of being a small channel, right? Is you haven't formulated whatever rules you're going to have. And I've been a bit resistant to doing the scheduled thing. Just aim for a certain number of live streams per week, and yeah. So Sean, are you one of the woodworking crew, or what brings you to the chat tonight? Yeah. This is just a mindfulness exercise. It's a bit like neurographic drawing, or Zen tangles might be something you're familiar with. It's just, it's just a little bit of paint on a little bit of paper. It's likely to go somewhere like this. Probably like that. Could be like this. You know, Sean, I find that if you want to go tell someone what to do, you're going to have to pay for it. You might find that on OnlyFans. But I'm not taking too kindly to it. I don't really like being treated like I'm a character in a role-playing game. So I would really appreciate it if you could maybe direct your directions towards doing something yourself. And if you could find something artistic and artful to do. You can get out your coloring crayons and a piece of sketch paper. And that's how that works. I think we are all going to feel better now. And just for that, Ernest, what do you think? Should we just fill the whole damn thing with circles? Just the hell. I know I've had a day and I'm, probably being more of a sensitive Susie than I usually am, but I just wonder if you'd walk up to somebody out in the real world and just go, just, do that. No, I said do that. No, sir, that's not how it works here. Right? It does. I like the, I kind of like it. Like, it reminds me of, maybe not the ocean, but like a tidal, with estuaries, right? Where there's a bit of a bay or a little salt water coming in and things get kind of, nice and green and slimy. Like you're walking along cooking, but kind of like that. I'm pretty sure that's what that kind of thing is why my my channel just kind of stays about this size. Yeah, there we are. Yeah. I really should charge extra to give out those kind of spankings, shouldn't I? Yeah. So do you still have family up there? Do you have a good excuse for heading back up now and again, or? Yeah, my brain is trying to just just went, yeah, what would be. I don't have family up in Alaska because I was kind of the one that left from Oregon and went up there. And I'm just thinking, do I. Do I need an excuse to go back and visit Alaska? I don't know if I need an excuse. Um, I feel ya. I may or may not have headed there in the first place to put some distance. Odd. Pen just did not want to go there. It happens sometimes in this process. I'll start to draw a line between my brain and my hand and just. Let's see. Well, it's probably like yeah, maybe 7:30 in the morning in Norway. Yeah, she's in Norway. So, um I've um I've been a mod on probably, I don't know, a good 10 different channels, some of them really quite rollicking. So, um I do know how to find, all of the buttons. And yeah, isn't it? Ernest says, oh wow, that's cool. And we actually hung out yesterday trying to work through some stuff about the other problematic things. And yeah, usually we kind of hang out. We use one of those streaming platforms, and they've got a backstage area, and we set up. It started because we would stream together in a horizontal format instead of this vertical, and we'd kind of just chat and hang out and basically just kind of get warmed up, and then would live stream. But YouTube has been, I just I don't know exactly what's going on. I know they're pushing the vertical, and in order to coerce us all into not using horizontal when we use vertical, or when we try to go uh, use the streaming platform and then go side by side, it just looks better in horizontal. But it pushes out, and I'll get about 25 to 35 views, whereas almost every night that we go vertical, that's what she said. The count will be like a couple hundred at least. So um, it's kind of hard to argue with those results. Also, in vertical, we meet more people and have more more subscribers. Um, and I just feel like that gets more people exposed to these ideas about mindfulness and art, and so we would just end up dragging longer and longer, hanging out and painting and getting sort of warmed up, and then just eventually just went, oh, we're not gonna live stream, or we like spend 4 hours painting, and that's usually what we do. We don't usually not usually crunching numbers and looking at stuff like that, but so she's probably worn out from it was kind of a long session looking at some analytics and gathering some data. I mean, this is paint and colors and fun, so I have no idea if that answered the oh, I had. So, and I'm in Oregon, so we're actually, it just kind of blows my mind that I'm only 9 hours away from Norway, but yeah, if you think about how you can get someplace in 9 hours today, and and how long it would have taken to get from Oregon to Norway back, um, with horses or just on foot or even a bicycle. Yeah, and I know I can't get to Norway from here on a bicycle, but without a boat. But same with the horse. Uh, now it's just gotten stupid. Yeah, I do all. I like what I do like. I think we all have a pretty good time when Maya's here because she's so knowledgeable about art, and just adds a lot of fun. She might show up yet. I do suspect that when there's no wrench, no blue wrench in here, that it get tried a lot more than this than when there is. Ah, well, how do you feel about being a mod in here if I should ever need one? Every once in a while. Yeah, that's Ernest says he's a brutal mod for a young lady in Hawaii who is a singer. Because there's lots of dumb people. Yeah. Well, if we ever need a link or something, you do know how to drop links. I call it. I'm kind of a hammer mod. In the community I was in, we've got sort of two types. We've got what I call the tea and cookies mods. They're really, they're very nice. You come into a chat and they're like, "Hi." They always greet, and they're always, you know, friendly, and they'll set out the chat expectation. This is a kind chat where we misspell the naughty words and all that kind of stuff, and that's good. That's great. You may have gathered just probably from my general snarkiness. My skill set lies in hammering and putting down rebellions and trouble. So, and I'm not super fond of modding. I've been doing it in the for a while, and it is um, it's pretty thankless. Um, and I hate being a hall monitor. I'm really just the last kind of major modding job I had. The creator would ask, was I planning to live stream that day? And I would say, yeah, when we get done with doing this thing here, I'm going to start my live stream. And then I realized that she started to run her streams from what were originally like an hour or two, and she'd run them 6 hours. And I'd be in the back chat going, we're going to wrap this up. And she'd be like, nope. And I finally realized that she was deliberately trying to prevent me from streaming on my channel. And just some other just nutball stuff. I, 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 I see YouTube as this sort of, like it's infinite pie, right? Like there's, yeah, Brad, hello. How are you doing? Brad, I was going to, I've been thinking I needed to pop you an email for the last 3, 4 days. You've been on my mind, and I'm glad to see you, and I hope you're doing okay. There's just been a lot of weird juju in the world lately, so, yeah, if it's kind of got you, know that you are not alone, buddy. Yep. Jan M., good to see you. How are you doing, Jan? We made it. We made it. We lived through 2024. I kind of wondered it, especially around March of last year, if this was going to be the last. That was going to be the last year. So, you ever get to a new year and just go, boy, that's a surprise. How'd that happen? I mean, back in like the 70s or 60s when I was a kid, I couldn't imagine making it to the year 2000. It's like, we're a quarter of the way through this century. Like, what in the... How'd that happen? It's wild, right? I know Maya and I were gossiping viciously about you should know. Oh, Maya, you take your time. We've got stuff well in hand. The adventure continues, huh? I'm not sure on this one. Well, I feel like if I do one more rock, it's going to start a rock avalanche, and then I'm going to do that thing where I fill in every last empty space. And it's looking kind of cool from here, right? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Maya, we had a Mr. Bossy Pants in here trying to tell me what to do. How do you think that went? It went fine for me. Yeah. What an art show. Look how bright that one is. Yeah. Yeah. Ernest has dubbed this one the silt bed with pebbles. Silt bed with happy pebbles. I like that. Well, this is a strange version of handwriting for me. You know you're just regulated with. goofy handwriting. What's today? The 7th? 8th? And so it shall be named. Oh no, no sympathy, Maya. Brad, have a good day. Daydream of art supplies. Oh, this one has some interesting paint. No, he might still be watching. No, I kind of feel it's a little bit rude when you come in and just start. And I know there are channels where they're just waiting for somebody to tell them what they'd like to see. But I think you're just gonna boss me around. You should at least say please. So, yeah, I did one. This was from the last live stream, and I did an assortment. I painted. I painted an assortment using Cascade Green and Undersea Green, and this Cascade Green is just an unusual super granulating paint. It comes out of the tube and it's fairly foresty green, like it's really probably twice as dark as this, but if you put quite a bit of water on it and brush it out, it color shifts from this blue over to this soft green that just reminds me of lichens, and altitude. Get up, a little bit up in the hills or the mountains, and you start seeing lichens on rocks and trees, and it's fantastic color. Yeah. So I had another paint that was just kind of a straight color, and I think this is it. I know it's super critical that I sort this out, right? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, then I threw some burnt umber and a little bit of... Well, I got back into the Cascade Green again is what I did. Because, my current favorite. Oh, it does, doesn't it? Well, alright. See how this works. Oh, remind me not to hum. One pectoral fin. I don't know, shall we make him bull-nosed? Kind of like a carp? Oh, don't tell me I picked up a sepia pen. Rats. did. Let's give him some barbels. Ooh. Boy, that paint's pushing me around today. Well then. A fish it shall be. I wanted it to be a salmon, but it just seemed plump in the middle like a koi. So, trying to think what koi's eyes are. Are they dark? Silvery kind of a... You have to keep the... Gotta keep the glitter paint segregated from the other paint. Mm-hmm. You knew one of these days there'd be something that would appear in all of those rocks, eh? I almost just went right down his snout with scales, and then I was like, not on the head. Well, I would expect that out of the crowd. Very, very skilled at taking resources from the environment, the Eskimo. I'm just kind of delighted by that just one fish in the middle. That so much so that I don't think we really even, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe trace some pebbles around the border. Consider it a minute. All right, remind me not to drag my hand through that wet paint. This is a really different color combination than we usually have going. So I'm enjoying the novelty of it for sure. Oh, is Jan still? Jan, are you still in here? Ah, I saw the cardiologist in December, and no, I just wanted to. Yeah, I saw the cardiologist, and they were. You know how they are. It's just like come back, we'll do more. Come back, we'll do more. And after they did the 6 stents, right, and it was like, well, that's all we can do for now. We don't know adjustments, other procedures, blah blah. But it sounds like, well, and it all goes one way until they say, okay, now we'll refer you to this other cardiologist, and but I think I'm done for the procedures. So he felt like we'd kind of done as much as they could do. So I mean, it's sort of a mixed bag, right? You're like, you hope they can, get you back to how you felt when you were 20, I guess. I don't know. Just silly. But you do, um, anyway, so I'm all excited to like have me tell you now. It all just jumbled up in my head, but um, basically they're gonna send me back for more cardiac rehab, and because I told him I was like bent out of shape, that I was not well enough to be able to go hiking or try to do the things that I was able to do a couple years ago, year and a half ago anyway. And so he thought that that was going to be worth a try. So it should be kind of waiting to hear from the cardiac rehab place. And then I'll get started, back on the treadmill. And so I think that's good news. I mean, it's the news I got, and maybe this is one of those opportunities to practice radical acceptance. That's kind of like the only thing on offer. So we just try to, do the old, it is what it is. You get what you get. You don't pitch a fit. I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of working my way through it, I guess. Anyway, and it is something to try that might just, it might shift things a lot. The first time I went through cardiac rehab, it was after I had the open procedure with the double bypass, and so of course that was a different sort of a recovery, because you're kind of not paying attention to your heart when you're just trying to heal up your ribs and sternum. Kind of does take your mind off things. And then you go from feeling really bad to, oh, I'm pretty good. So maybe this time I'll go from this sucks to, oh, this isn't so bad. Yeah. Yeah, that's, Jen says similar to where I am. I need to learn new normal, and oh, okay, all right. Trying to do two things at once here. Regarding the painting, Ernest says that'd be neat, and it would look like he's making his bed for the spawn. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He kind of does. Yeah, kind of does, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well, that's it. That just made me take a half step to the side and reconsider my perspective there, Jan. Yeah. Need to learn a new normal. Yeah, because I'm definitely sulking and grieving about not having the old normal. And I've been bent out of shape about it for quite a while. And we give ourselves what the mindset that we have will really create a reality if we just if we restrict our thinking to those kinds of patterns. Our brain literally builds a neural pathway, and then you start into the subject and your brain just goes, oh, I know how to think about that, and it hops into the neural pathway. And if it's doom and gloom in the path you've set in your mind, every time you bump up against that thought, you'll just go down, depression alley. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? That's Cascade Green, and it's just working over the top of. Um, I think I mixed some quinacridone burnt scarlet, which is a fancy color, just kind of a burnt orange with a medium tinting strength, and really nicely translucent, with a little bit of just good old burnt sienna or burnt umber. They're pretty close in tone. And but the Cascade Green is that's what's given us all of this really cool sort of gritty yumminess there. Yeah. So Ernest, you had a heart attack too. Well, yes. I know you're asking Jan, but 21. Holy cats. Or I was gonna ask, like you were in Alaska. Was that was that back in the 80s? Oh, 20 years ago? Well, you're a young, such a youngster. But I was kind of mid 40s when I had my double bypass. So we used to think when I was maybe a kid or a teenager or 20 something, you think, well, heart attacks are for really old people, and um, nah, they'll find us where we are. So you're a long-term survivor of that. That is must be doing something okay. Oh, as soon as I started, I knew. Trying not to turn the watery parts into rocks. So did they have to do any kind of a? I'll meet people every now and again, and they'll say they had a heart attack, and you're like, "What did they do?" I don't know. Put me on some pills. Like, and then other people, it's like, no, they cracked us open and took our bits and pieces out and did some stuff and shoved it back in there. And yeah, I guess they're trying to get us squared away. I think we're trying to get Jan squared away before she actually. Now, like they try to do stuff before we have the heart attacks. And I've not had a full-on heart attack. They um, except for 3 days before this last procedure, I had what they stopped it before it turned into a full-on heart attack, and they just classify it, for insurance purposes as a cardiac event. Oh, that's true. Kept for observation, put on meds, and had PT. Boy, it's good to be 21, yeah? Trying to think what I was 21, I was skiing and yeah, working and skiing and 21-year-old stuff. Well, I'm glad you made it through and you're okay. This one has to be. Sometimes I take my eyes off it and I look back down, and then it's like that's a rock. That needs to be a rock. Hey, Maya, did you see what I did? Shh, don't tell him. Don't tell anyone. May or may not have painted a fish. Oh, holy. It was caused by the supplements you were taking. Oh, golly. Well, I think the good thing about that is like you can stop doing that and then yeah, some of that stuff that it just comes packed full of something like ephedrine, which can anything that's marketed to try to boost your metabolism. It's probably got caffeine or some kind of something that can um, depending on how you metabolize stuff. I had some genetic tests done last year, which like the doctor like suggested it, and I was meh, what for? And yeah, I know how'd that happen. It's because Ernest is here. He's a good influence. I tell you, it's a better crowd. Uh, so, maybe by this spring we'll all be through the rehab, the cardiac rehab, and you know, I don't like do carry the camera and walk around and do that kind of stuff. Somebody had said, "Well, you should take us hiking." I'm like, I'd have to buy a gimbal and pay attention and do some stuff and things. Um, but when I get out there, I'm usually headed for a waterfall or the coast or something, and then um, I like to make the shorts, because I'm the old. So um, yeah, maybe we might have a few more of the shorts. Alrighty. I've got a couple of more impulses to do things, but I think I want to just let this one sit and kind of come to itself in a little bit more time. Because I think there's something that could happen here, and I'm not quite sure what it is. And I know if I just let my artist brain just grind away on it a little bit while I'm doing some other stuff, um, that I might just have that moment where I'm, you know, feeding the cat or doing what something, in my brain will just go, oh, go do that to that thing that you're working on. And I feel like this just has the potential to just have one of those moments of inspiration happen. So let's let that one, yeah, let that one be in process. Yeah, it will evolve. And if it doesn't, sometimes when I pick it up and maybe in daylight, or there's just a little something different in the paints I've been mixing, and there's inspirations all over. So you don't have to push all the way through on anything you're working on. Sometimes it's good, keep going, keep the pen in. Um, I do. I do like to do exercises where I keep the pen in motion, just deliberately, just try to keep it flowing, because it's kind of good for the brain to get into something and then have a period where it's flowing instead of just stopping, going for a couple minutes, stopping, which is a symptom of depression for me. So, yeah, just let it do. We're so full of creativity, and I do think that people I'll hear, they come in here often and they'll say, well, I don't really do that. I don't know how to do that. I just, sometimes it's just getting out of your own way and letting it happen. I don't know. All right. How about a little input here? We've got magenta and cobalt blue, kind of bright and pretty, and it's some fun shapes in there. We have another earthy toned one, and we've got kind of. I don't even know how to describe this one. Some warm tones with some Aussie red gold, I think is what that is, just playing up. It's fairly bold, that Aussie red gold. When it dries down, it stays really vibrant. Kind of nice. Any thoughts? Maya says, I love it when I put a painting I'm stuck on away and then jump into it a while later and immediately see what is missing. That's it. Is it? Our brains love to solve a puzzle. They'll work away at, if there's something that's just, they'll work away at it, and it can build up. We can end up with 15 things just kind of working, and that can be a bit overwhelming. But it's also, it can be an invitation to engage if we let it be. This one? Or, because this one seems a little brighter, and I wonder if your feed is lagging a little bit sometimes if there's a skip. This one. Can you give me a 1 if it's this one, and a 2 if it's this one? Sorry. We'll figure it out. If I can remember that this one is 1 and this one is 2. So thank you. There we go. I knew I could work it out. I appreciate your patience with me. Oh, Maya, I hope you have some time when we're done with this, and I could maybe meet you over at StreamYard. And you might want to duck over to, that channel we were deciphering earlier. There may or may not have been something in today's. Yeah, this has got some good shapes. Let me smooth that sucker out. Yeah, this one almost has teal in it. Yeah. Yeah. You know that hunch I had about getting set up in that email? Ding, ding, ding. I bet I can get away with plugging in while I'm on YouTube. It did. It did have that look of something sort of bursting and, um, yeah. What'd you say? Nebula, or yeah, yeah, yeah. Because as I was looking at it, I was having a thought that if this had been a piece of black paper and the metallic and pearl paints, just when you put them on black paper, they just. Um, so I was kind of doing some extra bonus art in my own imagination there. For Replay Crew, Ernest says, I like outer space and I see a nebula with a supernova. I know you do pebble art, but my brain sees weird stuff all the time. That is an excellent brain to have. What if your brain only saw ordinary stuff all the time? That would be kind of sad. It's also a little like, if you ever get in the forest and you lay on your back and just stare up at the trees, and there's patches where it's really bright, open sky, and then the light gets diffused as it comes through the leaves and the foliage. I guess the leaves are the foliage, but I think you know what I mean. Yeah. See if we can get the going into space effect there. Cue the theme to 2001: A Space Odyssey. Yeah. Mm. I'm playing the I Wish I Had game. And you know what the answer to that is, everybody? Knock it off. It's just paper. We can paint another one. It'll be fine. It's okay to get on with it. There's so many sorts of. Sometimes I like to circle the areas that are just really beautiful so that you can sort of like setting a gem in a setting. Right? It's a thing of beauty, and you just find something that'll hold it there so that your eye could just come back to it. And there are these areas that are in between that are not quite that. Oh, I know what that color was. It was thioviolet. So it's not quite that red violet, and it's not quite. The paint is really sort of dancing one color with the other, and like this little spot here, like it's just so some of both. It's really delightful. So that's what it wants to do. And there it is. We're just going to break all of those line rules. So I was kind of, okay, not kind of, I was deliberately. Hi, Hannah. Good to see you. I was avoiding looking at the news today, and I was telling Ernest earlier that there was some sort of an altercation that the neighbors were having that was spilled over, and they were in my driveway, and yeah, they were celebrating today. And they just, like, they were so out, I don't know what they were doing. Whatever they were doing, they were just at one point unaware that they were in a place, my place, where they'd been trespassed from. And so I informed them in a not terribly neighborly fashion to take their show on the road. Stormed back inside and thought, what's this going to take to get this to go away? And about that time, as I was like, I think I might have to call the police. This is really, I don't know, a piece of, they had a chest of drawers that was broken apart, and it's, what the hell, people? And yeah, right after I got done talking to you, the pickup truck the management company uses came rolling up, and then there was some, there was a very loud, firm voice telling some people to go do some other stuff in some other place, and the management company is the HOA, so they really can put penalties on people, and they're much more willing to just go to take action. The police come out and they're just like, they try to sort everybody out, pacify everybody. We don't want to take any actions. it, which is sometimes frustrating. Where's that officer to knock somebody on the head? I want that guy today. So anyway, I went out there about 20 minutes after the ruckus had died down, and the people causing the shenanigans were gone, and some of the pieces, like there was still like a busted drawer laying in the street. I don't know whether it was like a marketplace deal gone awry or what the heck it was. Just, if that's how things were going all over America today, I don't know. The internet's still working, so it might be okay. Might be okay. So, happy Tuesday to you, Craft Zone. What are you up to? Ooh, a bright autumn day in a cherry tree forest. Oh, you're... Oh! Ernest says it's Christmas for Orthodox anyway. Yeah. You know that Orthodox church just north of Anchorage in Eagle River? My one of my beloved friends from college used to go to that church, and he was raised Baptist, and he was just didn't quite have enough, as he described it, pomp and circumstance. So he went to find a church that had more rituals and incense, and he went there quite a while, and met a gal who went to a different kind of congregation, and then he started going there, and because there was a gal at the other one, so you can't blame a fella. I hope 25 is just getting the discombobulation out of the way early, and then things will settle down, and the sometimes if a year starts out like, oh, this is going really well, it can kind of hit the fan. So, Shoto, you're back. Hello. We're trying to recombobulate me today. That's what I'm trying to do. You guys want to see the one we did earlier? Look at that soothing green. To-do. Silt bed with happy pebbles. I like that. I gave myself extra credit for leaving a blank space. Ernest may or may not have talked me into painting a fish. Don't tell. The art police will be here to enforce the pebbles only rule. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh, best of luck. Craft Zone will be interviewed by an American client this week. So, yeah, send Hannah some luck on that job. No face. Thank you, Shoto. Todoroki. I've got in my mind this turquoise with a gold dome, but I'm not sure my mind map is correct on that. Don't think we knew you were working in tech. That is so wild to me. Just thinking, when I was a young person, we didn't even, like, if you went to career counseling when I was leaving high school, they would tell us that we could learn to be, we could take classes in school and we could seek jobs as typists. We had a typewriter, and like we didn't even know about what we called computer terminals that had keyboards. We had standard typewriters that were mechanical. You didn't plug them in, and then we had the IBM Selectric. So in that class, you had to sit along the perimeter so you could plug your typewriter in, and that to us was like advanced technology. And now you almost have like, these. Who knew? If we could just do this, like, not much training for that. And yeah. I would have liked to have told that teacher, I'm just going to only need my thumbs. Why don't you just shut up? But it's a really disrespectful way to talk to a teacher. But boy, that teacher was a pain in the. She was a pain in the elbow, a pain in the wrist, a pain in the thumbs, a pain in the fingers. Oh. Oh, no face. Holy crap. What? When did you come into that stream? And, like, I, is there something like when you combine a dumpster fire with a train wreck that, ah, it just, they start with a, we don't know who you are, and I just lose my ever-loving mind about that. But I have gone, do you know the wagon ruts are still in, like you can walk where the Oregon Trail comes through, and because it just, I mean, they came through the high desert, and the wagon ruts from the Conestogas and the buckboards are still visible on the land. You can walk along. You can like put your feet in the wagon ruts, and they kind of tell you, please don't. But just don't tell the rangers. Don't tell the BLM. You can do that, and it's just sort of wild. Yeah, my great grandmother came across the country as a pioneer. I don't know, next time they do that, I'll just say, no face knows who I am. You just talk to him. Um, so when people took the Oregon Trail to come out and pioneer in the West, like they had um, oxen teams. I mean, some of them started out with horses, but and you'd loaded all your worldly goods, everything you needed to survive the journey, and what you would need to start your homestead, because there was, you know, like, the what do you call him? The blacksmith. Like he was on the he was in the wagon train with you, and there was a trail that came across the country called the Oregon Trail, and this was probably for my family after 1865, like 1868 thereabouts, and the wagons had, the wooden wheels that would have like an iron hoop on it and wooden spokes, and um, they just bumped those things right across the wilderness to get to the Pacific Ocean. So Anyway, so if they came across the land and it was wet, I mean, we're in Oregon, so there's rain, and I mean, they were moving through even during the winter, and those wheels of those wagons, and they're a train of them. So I don't know how many. I think they probably started out with 20 when they left Kansas, but by the time or South Dakota, I think is where my family started the journey, and you would go to some city closer to the center of the country, and it sort of formed up into groups and would uh, hire a wagon master, and he would try to get a number of families together, and they'd all buy supplies and sort of head out together and try to make it to Oregon before winter closed in on them. Probably should know more about the journeys on the Oregon Trail, being an Oregonian, but it's probably not something I should be extemporaneously talking about, because I just kind of know the bits and pieces I've picked up and not a lot of actual history. We found the wall. She doesn't know everything. No Amazon, no Temu, not even a store when you got there. So you had to bring things like seeds and, oh, I might know a little bit about it. Oh, antics. Oh my God. I would have to send you an email because that was not as it appeared. Oh, no face. Bringing in the trail jokes. He partied with the Donners. Good folks. Had a lot of extra meat. Yeah. So, if you go to the smaller old towns that are maybe more rural now in Oregon, and you go in the springtime, you'll see a lot of lilacs and a particular type of rose, and very often a grape arbor. And those were plants that could be propagated with cuttings. So a lot of women had um, these three things, and you go in an old town and you'll see in the spring, like, there'll be lilacs blooming, and the it's and I know, like, they came in wrapped in a, I don't know, maybe a piece of oilcloth, and maybe kept a little bit moist so it didn't dry. And then when you got out here, and the women were the ones who did this, so they would propagate them and bring these plants up, and that's how we have so many lilacs and roses. Um, oh, this looks like hydrangea. That's what's kind of niggling away at my brain. Yeah, and seeds, I think, and um, what you'd need to start a garden so you could grow a little bit of food. But it's really not uncommon to find a grape arbor with Concord grapes has probably been going in some form from the 1860s and 70s, 1880s. Um, no, I think it's a trail. Yeah. Yeah, I got that first email and I just had this sort of feeling like I was walking into a bear trap. And the exchange got very crazy very quickly. And the gist of it was that I had done something in chat, which, welcome to Mod World. And I got my ass chewed for, I want to say, 4 or 5 emails. And then I wasn't even in that chat. So I do not understand what the heck the references are to. Like, I went back through that chain and tried to unpick it, and I have a law degree. I know my way around a sentence and trying to keep a storyline together, and it just was off the rails and unraveled. And at a certain point, you push me hard enough, and then you get the lawyer, which I expect was unexpected, and still seems to be, yeah, just um, something people are having a hard time wrapping their brains around. And I mean, antics. When we were trying to put that project together, just how, like, it seemed like it was okay, it seemed like it was great, and then all of a sudden it was like we'd committed some sort of high crime. So, and I just don't understand, coming in and starting some shit in chat, and then you get timed out, not because of who you are, but because of what you said when you were told not to say it in somebody else's channel and somebody else's chat. And then you don't take it up with the channel creator, you take it up with the mod, and you carry that grudge, and it's about something that was not even real or true. What's that is not a very grown-up way to act. And seriously, if you're going to be butt hurt over getting timed out on YouTube, that just might be kind of a problem that I don't have an answer for. Oh, Mama Squirrel says there's a lot to unpack there. Yeah. And for what? So that we can sort out somebody else's shit? I've been sorting out her shit for months, and I'm exhausted from it. Yeah. Maya says, remember the 2 letters that go well together. N and O. Right? That's when the trouble really started. When I started saying, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm going to leave here and go run my own channel because I've got a live stream to do. No, I'm not going to spend time. I am not equipped to deal with someone who is drinking. I do not have the capacity and tools to do that. And I'll point this out. That is quite different from you can't go and drink and do whatever. That is, I'm not equipped to deal with it. And I don't think that's an invalid boundary to have or set with somebody. So, yeah, so I started with the no, and then of course when you tell someone who's got that type of a personality no, they just become enraged and controlling. Is probably the best way to describe it. And we're going to have a vendetta against this person or that person. And I start to get told the story, and I said, I don't want to hear that. I think from what you told me so far, it sounds like you were being very unreasonable to people who were like bad dog. None of that from either of you. It personally, just if we're going to get into matters of etiquette, if you ever invite somebody into your home, you ought to treat them with respect and kindness. That's yeah. I wasn't there in the room egging anybody on. I'm just hearing about this shit afterwards, and I'm just an old lady, and I'm like, that's not how we did it in my day, and you just like think. I also grew up where people respected their elders a little bit more. And I don't know, maybe my name is youthful. Maybe they think I'm, some kid. I'm just, yeah. Sorry, mini rant. I'm not having it. And while I'm on it, let me just say this really clearly where I won't be interrupted and I can actually say the whole damn thing. Sorry, Ernest. Sorry for some other people who are not in this other community. I was doing some advocate work in a protest community before I got the art channel started. And in protest, it's people who were protesting a high demand religion, and there are some serious problems with this cult. And it does need to be protested. It does need to change. That protest movement involves pushing the boundaries of the limits of free speech. And it has at times spilled over into physical confrontation between church members and protesters. And once that happens, once we tolerate that happening, we change the landscape for protesters, whether it's LA, Chicago, Boston, Austin, Copenhagen, Perth. If we allow ourselves to be pushed to the point we were committing physical assaults or have bodily injury convictions against protesters, then Scientologists can pick up the phone, call the police, and say, we are really in fear. They're coming at us because of our religion, which is in the United States protected under it's a constitutional right, freedom of religion. Right? There are federal laws against hate crimes. And part of that is having an act of hate towards somebody because of their religious affiliation. If we give them the power to say, these guys have been convicted of crimes against us, we are in fear for our personal safety, come, bring guns. That elevates the level of danger for everybody, and it moves us closer to the day where the protesting gets shut down. The protesting gets shut down instead of the abuses of human trafficking and child abuse and elder abuse. And it's really counterproductive to allow that to go forward. So, of course, the best of us are not the protesters who are engaging with law enforcement and violating social norms in such a way that our legal system has to come in and address the behavior, right? It's not the best of us. It's not the smartest or wisest, most restrained. It's the least. It's the people who just get in the heat of the moment and they go too far. So those are always going to be well, maybe not always, but I think it's often going to be that we're going to deal with people with that I can describe as problematic in their choices about their behavior. It's never going to be somebody who's easy to deal with. It's always going to be somebody who's kind of difficult to deal with it, because that's who's going to go commit an assault. So that's going to be who you're going to have to defend. And I'll tell you, as a lawyer, I spent plenty of time with a neutral expression on my face, wearing a nice suit, standing beside some scumbag who did something that, like, you don't like them. But our system to resolve that is to go to court, and we all have a part to play in it. And if you're good at being a lawyer, then you're also good at just kind of being neutral and just rolling along with people you would never socialize with. People you scratch your head and you just go, what the hell? I gave you advice at this point. I gave you advice at this point. I give you advice at this point. And every time you did the exact effing opposite of what I advised you to do. If you want to get to the result where we get an acquittal and we don't have a protester who's now, flagged the rest of us by their behavior, you've got to get in there and you've got to do what you can to influence the outcome. And that sure as hell is not moderating a chat. That's a whole different set of activities. So from the outside, it might look like something, but if somebody doesn't have the whole picture, if they don't understand everything that's going on, they don't maybe just have the capacity to conceptualize the strategy, they're just not going to get it. And they'll be left going, oh, I don't know who she is. I don't know what she does. I just don't know. And if they're not willing to listen, they're never going to figure it out. And what's going to happen is we're going to have another protester and another one. And we've got Danny whacked in the head with a mag light out in LA. I want to bring this down before somebody, he's got a brain injury, right? He's recovering from concussion. We cannot keep allowing the physical contacts to escalate. And it was quite important to me to do what I could to try to get a situation where we had an acquittal. Certainly not a plea deal. And anyway, anybody has any effing questions about that, they can just contact me via email. Anyway, questions? Comments? Art? I did everything I could, to the point where I was awake at night with chest pain, trying to get through to get to the next day, after putting up with the bullshit that I was getting from her. I felt like it's, and it's really hard to kind of get that much into the however many characters in a vertical live stream. So, yeah, sorry I cared enough about things to try to make a difference. And I mean that. I'm very regretful at this point, because it was not, it wasn't, if I had a say in it, I wouldn't have come to that, I wouldn't have come to that outcome. I wouldn't have recommended that outcome. And come to find out, some of the people we were talking to tonight were lobbying her to plea. That's what happened, and here we are. So I guess we'll see in the coming months the repercussions of what that decision brings to us. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it doesn't escalate the the danger for protesters. You know what? This one's sparkly and shiny, and I think that there's not enough sparkle, shine, and beauty in this. Not in my world today, for sure. Well, appreciate what you're saying there, antics. And it could have been, but I was treated like I was a below decks ore monkey. Right? Well, let's look. Let's go to Ernest here because he's got a perspective that, and I know right now mine is like so close focused in, and I'm trying to pull back. Sometimes, like you to resolve disputes, you need to pull back, and I know I'm tied into it. Ernest says that's a lot to unpack, and in no way am I going to try. And I shouldn't have, probably shouldn't have either. But his 2 cents are some people need to recognize the signs of being egged on and provoked and know how to de-escalate. Ding, 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 ding. Some people, I did need to recognize the signs of being egged on and provoked. And yeah, I expected it from one quarter, and I didn't expect it from the other quarter. And that is called being triangulated. And there's one thing that people with narcissistic tendencies or personalities or disorders tend to be very good at. It's isolating people and triangulating them and, sitting back and watching, all the bugs in the jar fight with each other. I know one damn way to not get into that kind of a triangulation, and that's to just walk away from it. So, golly, I had 20 new subscribers, and if you guys, they wouldn't have gotten this far, would they? But if you have and you've gotten through it, I've just been trying for weeks to get disentangled from the situation and to get back to what I want to do, which is to share art and to encourage people to engage in mindfulness so that you can better weather these kinds of things that they do come along in life. And if you're one of my new subscribers and you have slogged through to this point, you get like 15 gold stars. Because, anyway, I'm working towards being in a headspace where I'm just not having that kind of stuff just come into my world. We can't always do that. Sometimes, I was there voluntarily. And as Maya reminds me, it gives me the just say no exercises. And I just don't, right now, I certainly don't see, I don't see a reason, I don't see a clear path to making this situation, like, these are not people I will work with. I'm not in Chicago. And apparently if I'm not standing in front of them, I don't have, I don't even know how to describe it, the sort of dismissive way that yeah, so one of the options is, stay in and sort it out and try to get people to really understand my point of view. And the other thing is to say, well, reincarnation, they'll get another chance to go around the sun. And, karma will show them the lessons that will help open their heads and hearts. And I don't mean that. And I don't mean that in the sense of the Western idea about karma as being something that watches and waits and bites you in the ass. I mean in the sense of the like deep Buddhist sense of the word, that karma is something that your actions can accrue to you, and you are here to find and learn those lessons. And the opportunities tend to keep coming until you figure shit out. So, yeah, and I mean in the way that people are, they have their own path towards enlightenment, and we move forward a little bit in life, and we learn a bit. We move another direction, and we learn some other stuff, and to me, that seems to be at the heart of the human journey, to have experiences and to be challenged or inspired. And hopefully to just have some sort of a spiritual evolving that moves us closer to loving kindness and this knowledge that if you just keep, what is the saying, if you just keep lashing out and going an eye for an eye, you make the whole world blind. That's where you get if you're having conflict, and um, it's not winning, not for all of us overall over time. But if we can learn to practice loving kindness, it might take 1,000 years or 2,000 or 10,000. But just look how far Buddhism has spread from Tibet to the Western world in just, let's say, since 1956. I mean, it used to be just geographically in this very small area, and now it's moved out, and these ideas are like they're part of, geez, you just see, maybe you're on social media watching some so-called influencer, and maybe hearing about these ideas about Maitri and loving kindness and, even mindfulness. What if two of us change and we go out with our human lives wherever we are, and instead of violence, we choose kindness? I mean, how many years? It might take 2,000, 10,000 years. It might take more years than humans get to live on this planet. I don't know. But I think we can make progress. We've got to stop enslaving other humans. And if that means human trafficking, we've got to stop that. We've got to put a stop to that. And if it means treating each other with oppression and coercive control, if that's on a person-to-person level, that needs to stop too. If it's on a organized institutional level, we need to stop it. So I think Maya's got a point here that, sometimes you do have the capacity to stop it by using that short word. Um, um, just, that's what, oh, we have D lettuce here? Wait a minute. you know, intoxicants are not part of the Buddhist way of, if you're just, if you're really trying to um, not just be a student of Buddhism, but practice Buddhism, intoxicants are really, they're contraindicated. But, so, oh, you guys are awesome. Yeah, so, yeah, Maya's my new, she's my new, what do you call that? The personal growth coach. What do they call those? Not a therapist or a shrink. I've had enough of those. But oh, I don't know. I can't think of the phrase right now. Just checking the chat here. You ate it? No face, you ate it? It didn't light it on fire? Yeah. Yeah, so let's talk about what art can do for you, and maybe trauma a little bit, but not in a dumpy. I've trauma dumped enough for tonight, but let's try to get this boat back in the stream and move it down the water instead of trying to paddle a sucker upstream. Gail, oh, it's lovely to see you. Life coach, thank you. Um, yeah. Alrighty. So one of the reasons why I'm just pushy to my friends about making art and people that I have care and concern for, and sometimes when I'm doing it, I've been may or may not have been known to live stream with somebody that I was really pushing to engage in art while the storytelling was going on. And by storytelling, I mean thinking about things that happened that may have stuck with us in a way that is negative. Maybe something that even it rises to the level of being a traumatic event. But maybe just a range of things, like something small that seems insignificant, but it sort of troubles you and bubbles along in your mind. And there's maybe an opportunity to learn a lesson from it. And particularly when we have stories that we retell, oh, this thing happened and it went like this, and then this thing, didn't go the way I wanted it, and some other people did this thing. And do you ever have any of those kind of stories where you've told them a time or two? You're not recounting it for the first time, you're recalling it, and you're practicing your recall. When you're engaging in that mental activity, it uses the creative part of your brain because it is performative. It's like an actor being on stage and acting out a story, or a poet reciting a poem, or it's a performance. And that requires you to use the creative part of your brain. Now, if you can get into that space, then you're in that thought loop, right? And it's always going to be the same way. You're not going to have any evolution. You're not going to have a breakthrough or a realization, because you've got your brain operating in a certain mode. If you can break out of that mode and let yourself get to the analytical side, you might have an insight that changes the way you look at that story. You might learn, you might have growth, but you're not going to get there retelling a story. So, one of the ways that's fairly dastardly simple is to occupy your creative mind while you're talking about things that are upsetting. Because if you're busy doing this, whatever, art, whatever simple coloring in a coloring book, or just doing something with your hands, it's a bit of a repetitive motion, and especially if it can just maybe demand that you evaluate a color or just be art, right? Anything that keeps your creative brain going. And also talk about whatever is troubling. Your brain doesn't tell stories. Then you start getting into talking about what happened, and you can just go, oh, I didn't remember there was a clock on the wall. I didn't remember this person came in. I didn't remember this other, some nuance in it that gives you insight. That's called reprocessing. And if you can reprocess the story, you have a chance to heal and to move on. So it's just kind of a little Jedi Zen mind trick. You just want to give your brain enough to do so that it's not, oh, I'm going to get busy and I'm going to perform that story again. It just seems like too easy to be true. And it's deceptively simple. It can also be a little bit painful as those stories are coming out. You know, you might be, coloring away in your coloring book and chatting away with your friend, and you might have emotions come up, like something that makes you tear up or start to feel uncomfortable in your body. That's what trauma is. You can't just shove it back down and expect not to lash out, expect not to have it gnaw away at you. You can heal if you can let it move through. Let yourself move through it. That's probably... I probably glanced enough edges on that one. If you guys have questions about that in particular, or anything you want to share about that, maybe your experiences of when you found some solace in your art practice, and anything you found helpful, I encourage you to please leave it in the comments. And you guys know I try to, I found one the other day. I thought I was like answering all of the comments and talking about it, but I did find one the other day that was overlooked because it came in the midst of a flurry of things. But do try to get into that and make sure that we respond to that. And sometimes the comments will just lead to the next episode. So Gail said, I have a friend and we FaceTime doing art and chatting, and it's very cathartic. Nice, nice. You FaceTime. Okay. Yeah, Maya and I have been doing some of that, and we've been using the backstage at StreamYard, which I'm sure StreamYard just loves. Like, do these two ever live stream? They just get back there for hours, and it looks like they're painting. We don't know what the hell they're doing. No face. Ugh, I thought Brad was back for a second. We may or may not do it. But use how's FaceTime work? Does it heat your phone up and you have to go get an ice pack for it? Because that seems to be what happens to my phone over it. Yeah. The technical malfunction portion of the program. Yeah, heal and move on. No phase. That's not strictly speaking true. I put some metallic paint and some of the Conte crayon the other day. What you mean like gold leaf, like super shiny, just gild the daylights out of it? I put a fish in there. Were you here? Fish? Shh, don't tell the pebble, please. I put a fish. All right, I think you caught back up with the yeah. Oh, you use your computer. Okay. Oh, yeah. I got really tech averse a few years ago when I moved and I had the big tower and I was like, meh. I'm gonna go back to working on my art and quilting, and so 2020 was what I fell into the YouTube rabbit hole, and uh, yeah. And what's funny is some days we'll be streaming and it's just fine. And other days, it's just like there's something like a gremlin in my phone just making it do 20. I feel like it's just doing stuff. And I just wonder what StreamYard is, what kind of diabolical thing is going on there. All right, you guys want an art show? Should we just throw a bunch of stuff out here for art show? Ernest. Oh, golly. 4 a.m. Yeah, you get some rest. Get some sleep. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the inspiration there, Ernest. And thanks for just hanging out with me while I was trying to get my pebble groove going. It's kind of a tough start, and you really helped me get through that. So thank you so much. A laptop. Gail says she uses a laptop. Do we have some over here? Oh, okay. They sell refurbished ones at a local store here that are just like they're well under, like I want to say they're like $185 or something, just stupidly cheap. And I don't know how they would be for. I could probably just go in and ask them, hey, would that work for live streaming? It might. I also want to throw I forgot to do it earlier. I wanted to throw a shout out to Silly Rabbit. Silly Wabbit, you're always welcome here. Oh, yes, indeed. I didn't know. I didn't know they were available. Maya says it's a good thing to have a goofy Eskimo. Everybody should get one. Pebble Groove is No Face's new favorite jazz band. Excellent. Fish's name is Help. Oh, well, Ernest said he's making his nest for spawning, so, you know. Okay, kind of not doing an art show, just reading the chat. This is the painting I've been working on lately. And I was feeling a little shaky, so I didn't get into it. But I will do a live stream sometime this week where I'm just going to get in and finish these little spots and might put a wash of color or glaze on some of these bigger rocks, but I'm quite pleased. I decided to drop turquoises into it, and I think they just really turned out looking like pieces of turquoise. So every new painting, it just gets a little bit better. Oh yeah, I was having one of those fixations that I sometimes get, and my brain is like, wonder what it's probably really cool there where you see the white paper, and the tape was tempting me. But it's like it needs to stay on until the painting's finished. It really does. Because you can't just peel it up and then get it, you never get it back in the right spot. Don't ask me how I know. Alrighty, we started out with the happy pebbles in a silt bed. Yeah, lots of room for things in here. I like that one. I don't even know what order things went in tonight. Got a couple left over from the yeah, right? That's what I was like, I need something that is the opposite of how I'm feeling, so I picked the calmest, most lovely green I could find in the pile. Lucifer, Luca, hello. Have you been here hanging out, or did you just get here? Thank you. They're a lot of fun to do. Luca's from we know him from Dan K's channel. And his own channel, right? All you fellas over there seem to have just some cool stuff going on. I like this one. I went just a little wild with the overlapping. I'm bristling at conformity today. So at the end of my live streams, I like to wrap up with a bit of an art show. So if you ever see one and you're like, I don't know if I want to watch it on replay, I don't know if I want to, yeah, is it going to be interesting, or is it going to be something I want to look at for, because you do kind of have to look at it for a few minutes as it's going. And you can always skip towards the end of the live stream, and I do the art show. I saved the best one, I think, for last. Somebody in chat said, hey, that shape kind of looks like a fish. I said, it kind of does. So this one is not finished. I'm not sure. Some of these will be finished. Some of them will get some more layers. And I think this one's finished. I'm really feeling that I could put that in this pile. So, yeah. No Face said Lucy, and I just had to scroll up and see if our friend from the Philippines had stopped in here. But yeah. Anyway, do we have word of advice and thoughts of? I probably just ought to ease up and give myself a break from offering advice. Follow your way to the art and spend some time, let yourself be led to whatever art you are drawn to, and follow your own art advice, I think. Boy, you have something go down and it just can sort of shake you, and I guess that's where I'm at right now, but I feel They feel quite a lot better from hanging out with. It's a koi, but does kind of have a guppy tail. Our guppies, like they do sometimes have splotches of different colors, don't they? There's no face. He's always questioning. Yeah, it turned out kind of. They're usually just an exercise to calm my mind and get the thinking lined up. Um, now and again, we break it out and do some more. Yeah, sometimes it gets downright sketchy in here. Gail Byron. I think it was. I don't think. I know that was the worst of what I'm going to put up with. So we won't be going down a path that leads to. Yeah, and let it set, and it has the. It has the chance of having opportunity fall from the crisis. So I will make room for that possibility, but I'm not going to chase anything like that down again. And I know, like, I've been on this journey to get disconnected and disentangled, and just I've dealt with people with difficult personalities enough to know that once you start to say no, and they don't like it because they've been getting something from you, and it's comfortable for them to have things done their way. It's comfortable to have somebody, tell them when to eat, tell them when to pee. And, that was the situation. It was like being told to set a timer for 30 minutes so that I could tell a grown-ass woman that she had to go pee is just absolutely ridiculous. And I just crowdsourced that to the chat when I got tired of it. And that's what I just need to keep doing, is to just keep pushing ridiculous demands and things that are unsettling and make me unhappy. Just Maya Maya taught me this word I don't use enough, which is no. 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 Do you want to do this? No. Come back and do this. No. Oh, but you do it really well. Perhaps. But the answer is still no. Oh, lovely. Lucifer said, "My girl told me to tell you, blessed be, set boundaries." Yeah. Yeah, you set them. The hardest person to set the boundaries for is your own self. Because you really don't have. You can say you're going to set a boundary, but you can't control what somebody else is going to do. It's just completely outside. Even if you're like, you can't gain the skills to be able to control other people without being quite evil and oppressive. So when it comes to boundaries, those are guidelines for ourselves, and figuring out the way to live within those boundaries and to live through the process of becoming the person who can keep that boundary erected in the face of things that might want to break through it or disrupt it. That's our work. That's our that'll keep us busy for a while, right? Yeah. Gail Byron says, "I learned the no word. It's awesome." I love that. Lucifer, tell your girl thank you. Yeah. I did. I snuck one in when I was off stream too. So yeah, let's practice saying no to the things that are bringing chaos and dysphoria into our lives. Yep. Alrighty, folks. We'll see you in the comments. We'll see you on replay. I hope you have a wonderful, artful week. And if it doesn't quite go to plan, remember it's just paper. Oh, Lucifer. Just because the world tells us what we need to hear sometimes. Good night, everybody. We'll see you on the next live stream. And try to be kind to yourself. Try to practice being kind to other people. It's never the wrong choice. Well, it's rarely the wrong choice. And if we do it enough, it'll eventually always become the right answer. Bye.